Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
Welcome to Did You Hear Me with Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. And now, here's your host, Eric Michaels and Mike Lee.
And welcome to the Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd podcast portion of the Eric and Mike podcast. And we call it, Did You Hear Me?
Did you hear me with Sheriff Grady Judd?
Did you hear what I said?
Recently, we had a swan caper here in town, right?
A black swan caper.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
What happened?
Well, there's a community, and they have black swans.
Mm-hmm.
And these black swans had 4 swan eggs. I don't know what you call a swan egg. Now,
Delicious.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. And these people came up from South Florida Avenue to this community to sell 2 ducks of some kind.
Okay.
And when they were up here, they noticed these beautiful black swans. I mean, and if you've ever seen a black swan, and I hope you have if you're from Lakeland, because we're known for swans, they are just gorgeous. And these 2 guys saw these 2 black swans in this neighborhood pond, and they said to themselves, I believe we'll take those. And they did. They stole the black swans, and they stole the eggs.
Oh, that's not good. That
is not good at all. So apparently they made off with them, and they thought that they had gotten away with it because they lived in South Florida. They failed to recognize that the deputies and the detectives assigned to my ag unit are among the best deputies in the entire world. So we started an investigation. They also failed to recognize what most criminals still don't recognize is you can't pass gas anymore without being on a camera someplace.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
So we found a tag number, and we said to ourselves, and in the meantime, they failed to recognize that social media is a huge deal. Television is a huge deal. So we said, hey, if you see something or hear something, say something. We got some information. We figured out where they took these swans.
Okay.
And the guy that took them was a legit businessman. And when he saw this, now we're following up a partial tag number, right? When he saw this, he goes, ruh-roh. And he called and said, I may have your swans down here in South Florida. So we went down there and recovered the swans and the eggs. Supposedly the eggs were kept warm. So I don't know if the eggs will ever hatch after this trip they've had, but we eagerly await to see if they will and pray that they will. But we recovered the eggs because of social media, because there are cameras every place.
Of course.
And because wonderful people, if you see something or you hear something, you say something. And that's why our crime's at a 53-year low.
Did you actually make an arrest and figure out why these people wanted these swans? Why did they take them in the first place?
I can't believe you even asked that question.
What do you mean?
We are going to arrest somebody if you steal swans.
Yeah.
We got both of them.
You did get both.
Not only that, they turned themselves in. We said, do you want us to come down there and open up a can of whip butt on you? No. So they showed up here and turned themselves in.
Wow.
I'm curious, what percentage of the crimes that this office solves are results from somebody saying something?
Not over 50%, but I would tell you a strong 30, 40%. People are really good, and especially with Crime Stoppers. Mm-hmm. Now they figured out that, hey, I can give a tip. Crime Stoppers is not part of law enforcement. They will actually pay me money. They can't ever tell where the tip came from. I never have to testify in court, and they have to figure it out. So when we figure out from their tip and we solve the crime, then they get paid. So Crime Stoppers has helped a lot. Now, let me tell you something that's surprising about that. And probably it's been a few years since I checked, but about 20, 25% of the cases, nobody claims the money. They just wanted to be good citizens, but didn't want to get involved.
Yeah. How does that work in whenever it does go to court? Because can somebody just call in and be like, I saw the guy, he lives at this address,
Sure.
and then
Then we have to build the case around it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, but nobody has to testify. It's not
Nobody has to testify. And we don't know who they are because when they call in, they get a code number. And then if it passes, then what happens, they can go online and look with their device, the code number.
Yeah.
And then they know, then they're told you can go to this bank and get your money. Well, I guess technically speaking, we could stake out the bank
And
24
figure it
hours
out.
a
Right.
day.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but we don't do that because, once again, morally and ethically, they cooperated because they could stay absolutely confidential.
Right.
Now, there has been times we've gone back out on social media and said, hey, if you gave us this Crime Stoppers tip, in order to make this case work in court, we really need some extra help.
Yeah.
And occasionally, some of them then agree to be witnesses, but we never press them.
Yeah.
We don't know who they are, and Crime Stoppers is not part of the organization.
Has home camera systems really helped your job?
Immensely.
I actually had a deputy come by our house because apparently a crime had happened across the street and like down a house or two. And they saw that I had the security cameras out front and also a doorbell cam. And they came and asked, and I showed them all the footage, unfortunately, because I was like, oh man, I'm going to get to help. But unfortunately, my cameras didn't catch whatever it was. And they didn't go into detail. I guess they're not allowed to tell me what happened. They just wanted to review the footage. And I unfortunately wasn't able to help. But I guess that's a thing. You see a camera, you track down the owner and review footage.
Home security cameras, Ring doorbell cameras, all the doorbell cameras. They tell me there's more than Ring now.
Yeah.
But they all help. Listen, you cannot commit a crime
Right.
without a camera catching you there or either coming or going. You just
Right.
can't. And quite frankly, that's what it amounts to. Sometimes you have a crime in a neighborhood. We just look at the film. We go, okay, how many ingresses and egresses is there to this neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
And we go find cameras. We solved a double murder where the guy came here after a hurricane. He was a FEMA part-time worker.
Yeah.
Figured out the guy had guns. He went back to Mobile, Alabama. Months later, he got his buddies, drove from Mobile, Alabama to Polk City, Florida, murdered 2 people, stole guns, and went back to Mobile the same day.
We had you on the show and talked about this. I remember this
We
story.
tracked that guy with cameras from Polk City, Florida to Mobile.
Wow.
And we even found out where he stopped and got gas and what they ate.
Was it a 7-Up and a moon pie?
You can't get away with anything anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. And you're describing one of my favorite like true crime TV shows where because it just the time of whatever happened, at Walmart. They'll say, well, let's review the camera and see who was coming at that time and who left at that time. And they'll go, well, that red truck there looks really kind of suspicious, and it came in at the time of the incident. Let's see if we can find it anywhere else. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could track it, like you mentioned, not necessarily from somebody's doorbell cam, but you could track almost everywhere they've been because now you've got a suspect, essentially.
Well, absolutely. And Walmart's got elaborate computer systems to
Yeah.
protect their stuff. So not only do they catch you coming and going out of their parking lot,
Yeah.
they catch you in there shopping, okay, and you skip scan. They've got all that. And then, you've paid with your credit card. They can tie your receipts to your skip scanning. And then, by the way, they can go back and pull the last times, back months,
Yeah.
that you've shopped, and they look to see if you skip scan then.
Wow.
And then they tell us that. So we catch you skip scanning today. We may charge you with 6 different counts for the last 6 months.
Wow. Oh, man.
Why anybody would try to steal anything from Walmart is just insane.
Why would you want to even try? Yeah. Wow.
On a personal note, I was in Walmart one time when they pulled aside 2 teenagers. They look to be 16, 17, thinking they know the world. They have all the answers. And they had moved a price tag from something onto like a 60-inch TV, and it was $9.99.
Ding, 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 ding.
So
Well,
of course,
weird.
Of course, they have them pulled over and detained. And I remember hearing the police officers say to them, "You guys are just a couple of knuckleheads." Well, listen, thank you so very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, Sheriff.
All right, see you soon.